Hi, I'm Father Brian Brooks, the pastor of the Church of St. Benedict here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I entered seminary formation at the age of 25, and that was a while back. But he put it this way, my hair was a very different color back then. When I was accepted to enter the seminary for our diocese, so the people that I announced it to is a group of Benedictine sisters, the ones that are at St. Joseph's Monastery in Tulsa. And I was pretty much expecting when I announced the news to them to get some pats on the back. Instead, I got a nice dose of wisdom and humility from Benedictine women religious, because their initial response was, and they were happy that I was going to be entering the seminary, but the initial response was, well, it's about time. We've been glad that you finally woke up and smelled the coffee, because we've been praying for this for quite a while. A persistent message and consistent message, consistent prayer on my behalf. Notice in the gospel reading that we'll hear this coming Sunday, the 27th Sunday of Ordinary Time, the first Sunday in October, passage from Matthew chapter 21, how persistent the landowner is with the tenant farmers. He sends first his servants; they're mistreated. Then finally sends the son, who was killed in cold blood. There's clearly a reference of God being the landowner. The vineyard is the people of Israel, the kingdom of God, and the first messengers, the first servants, are the prophets, and finally the image of the son of the landowner coming. That's a clear image of Jesus and his upcoming passion, crucifixion, and then resurrection. But notice how persistent and consistent the message is, the invitation that is offered, and also the resistance that is given. How often do we resist, ignore, outright reject God's persistent pursuit of us in divine mercy? And then also notice this, to keep that in mind in preparation for this coming Sunday, and also keep in mind maybe the times in which you and I did hear that message, and then finally relented, finally submitted, surrendered over to the divine will, to God's providence of divine mercy. Also, notice what Jesus says about the cornerstone in the parable. The cornerstone in the ancient world was not always something that was a quarried piece of stone. More often than not, it was an existing stone that was already embedded in the ground, maybe part of the bedrock, in which you built your house upon. It provided stability, provided direction, provided the focus. It was the main part in which the structure was built upon and around. So it provided stability, and also it may determine how big the house is going to be, what direction is going to face. And also, you could not really conceal it. You couldn't cover it over. It provided that stability, that direction, that focus. That's who Jesus wishes to be for us. So we have to ask ourselves, at times we are resisting that because notice with the tenant farmers, they're to give all of the harvest over to the landowner, not just part of it, not just the parts that they want to give over and keep part of it for themselves. And that's what God is inviting us into, the relationship with Jesus. All of our lives, not just part of it, and maybe it is a gradual coming to terms, a gradual acceptance of that, because the Lord expects from us as His church a bountiful harvest of the fruits of justice, of mercy, of generosity, of seeking holiness, of our right worship. So we're called, and the challenge of the gospel, I think, for this coming Sunday is that listen to God's persistent invitation, persistent call out of love for us, and then to see that Jesus is to be that focus in our lives, that source of stability and direction of who we are as His holy church. So, God bless you and keep you safe.